Welcome to another episode of the MemcycoFM show.
It is great to be back.
So I was looking at the calendar this morning and realizing it is already February 2026.
Deep into the new year.
We are. And usually around this time when a massive analyst report lands on my desk about, the State of the Union for cybersecurity, I honestly just want to hide.
I know that feeling. It's usually a greatest hits album of things to be terrified about.
Right. Ransomware's up, budgets are down, and the internet is, well, it's held together by duct tape and good intentions.
Pretty much.
Exactly. The whole doom and gloom cycle.
Yeah.
But I have to say, today feels a little different. I've got this new analyst brief from Frost Sullivan in front of me.
The one that just came out?
That's the one. And for the first time in a while, I'm not reaching for the panic button.
Yeah.
I actually feel, optimistic. Like maybe the good guys finally found a new gear.
I read the same brief, and I completely agree. It feels like a pivotal moment. The whole narrative is finally shifting from how do we clean up the wreckage to how do we stop the crash from happening in the first place.
Right. So the source material we're doing our deep dive on today is this brief. It's laser focused on the state of fraud defense. But the real headline here isn't the problem. It's a solution that seems to be getting ahead of the bad guys.
They're calling it adaptive cybersecurity.
Adaptive cybersecurity. That's a fascinating concept. But I think to really appreciate why adaptive is such a big deal, we have to talk about the core conflict that Frost and Sullivan identified. They call it the mismatch.
That's the key.
Okay, so let's unpack this mismatch, because usually when I hear that word, I'm thinking about my socks. I'm guessing that's not what's keeping CISOs up at night.
Not quite, no. The mismatch here is it's this fundamental disconnect between how fast modern fraud moves and, well, how fast our traditional defenses move. They're out of sync.
Okay.
Think about it this way. For the last 15 years, corporate security has been about building higher walls around the castle.
Right, the castle is secure, firewalls, endpoint protection, all that.
Well, ideally. But the report points out that the attackers aren't trying to climb the walls anymore. They aren't even attacking the castle directly.
So what are they doing?
They're setting up a fake castle down the road, walking out to meet your customers on the highway, and tricking them into handing over the keys before they even get to your front gate.
That is a terrifying image. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore this adaptive cybersecurity and how moving the defense line earlier changes the whole game for a CISO.
Exactly.
But before the solution, we have to look at the trap we're in. The report calls it the acceleration of fraud.
And this is the crux of it. Frost and Sullivan found that the biggest challenge today isn't necessarily that attacks are more sophisticated, though of course they are.
It's that they're so much faster.
Exponentially faster. The time to damage is now measured in seconds.
Seconds. That seems, I can barely open my email in seconds.
That's the human pace. But this fraud, it isn't human. Not anymore. Automation and AI have just compressed the whole attack timeline.
Right.
In the old days, a hacker might spend weeks on reconnaissance. Now, automated bots and AI agents do that work instantly. They can spin up infrastructure, clone sites, and launch entire campaigns in the time it takes you to pour a cup of coffee.
And this is where that perimeter problem comes in, right? Because I always thought of security as a perimeter. You protect your servers, your employees, your laptops.
Exactly. But modern campaigns, they operate outside that traditional perimeter.
In the wild.
Completely. If I'm a fraudster, I'm not attacking your server. I'm on social media. I'm in your customers' inboxes. I'm spoofing your domain. All of that happens where your internal tools are completely blind.
Speaking of inboxes, the report mentions some pretty scary stats from the FBI Internet Crime Report for 2024.
Phishing and spoofing are still the heavy hitters.
Still number one.
By a huge margin. And we have to be clear here, it's not those old Prince of Nigeria emails anymore. The report is explicit about how AI-driven schemes can mimic human tone perfectly.
The grammar is perfect?
There are no more typos to spot because the AI doesn't make typos. It knows your industry jargon. It probably knows your branding guidelines better than some of your employees.
That is comforting. So let's dig into the mechanics. The report lists adversary in the middle, or 8M. We hear that acronym a lot. Walk me through it. What does that feel like for a user?
This is so critical to understand because it bypasses a lot of traditional security.
Okay, so I'm a customer. I get an email from my bank. Looks perfect. What happens next?
Okay, picture it. You click the link. A website loads. It looks exactly like your bank's login page. The logo is crisp. The font is right.
The URL might be a little bit off, but I'm busy.
Exactly. Maybe it's bank.com instead of bank.com, but you're on your phone, you're rushing, you don't even notice. You type in your username and password.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's the trick. You aren't typing it into the bank, you're typing it into a proxy server that the hacker controls. But, and this is the middle part, the hacker's server instantly forwards your keystrokes to the real bank.
Oh, wow.
So the real bank sees a login attempt. What do?
They send me a code. Two-factor authentication.
Exactly. Your phone buzzes, you get the text from the real bank, you think, great, the system works, and you type that code into the fake site.
And I'm assuming the hacker just grabs that code.
Instantly. They take the code, pass it to the real bank, and they log in as you. You just get an error message on the fake site, something like system maintenance.
But they're already in?
They're in your account, transferring funds. The whole thing takes maybe 10, 15 seconds. And you have no idea. You just think the website glitched.
Wow. And the report mentions other things like evil twin Wi-Fi and SEO poisoning.
Yes. So when you Google log into my bank or airline customer support, the top result, the one with the sponsor tag, might actually be their fake site.
That is incredibly sneaky. And this brings us back to that lag. If I'm a company, what do I find out my customer just fell for that?
Under the current model, you find out after the money is gone.
After the damage is done.
Or after their data is sold on the dark web. You're always playing catch up.
So we're just chasing ghosts.
Precisely. And that's why the report says traditional methods like site takedowns are they're inefficient.
I mean, it seems necessary though, right?
It is, but it's woefully insufficient. By the time that site comes down, which could take days, the campaign is over, the data is stolen. It's like calling the fire department after the house is burned down.
Okay, so the house is ash, the bad guys are gone. Not a great situation. This must be where we pivot to adaptive defense. What does that actually mean?
So adaptive defense, according to the report, it's a fundamental shift in strategy. It's moving away from static rules to real-time intervention while the scam is happening.
While it's in progress.
Yes. The quote that stood out to me was, when defenses intervene has become more critical than which controls are deployed.
When is more important than what? That's a huge statement. But I have to play devil's advocate. Everyone just says, use MFA. Multi-factor authentication. Doesn't that solve most of this?
MFA is essential, don't get me wrong. But the report is clear. On its own, it's not enough anymore. First, it adds friction, and users hate it.
For sure.
And second, like we just saw with the adversary in the middle attack, if I can intercept your password, I can intercept your MFA code too.
Right, it's just another piece of data for them to steal.
Exactly. So the goal of adaptive defense is to be preemptive. We have to stop the attack during that impersonation phase before the victim loses any data.
Which seems impossible if the attack is happening on some fake site outside my control. But this is where the Frost Sullivan brief points to a specific solution. They spotlight a company called Memcyco.
Pronounced Memcyco, yeah.
Right, Memcyco. The report highlights them as the prime example of how to actually do this. So, what's the secret sauce? How are they pulling it off?
It comes down to a technology they call POSA, that's proof of source authentication, and something they call nano defenders.
Nano defenders.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Very superhero. Are these tiny robots?
In a digital sense, yeah. Here's the key difference. Memcyco is agentless. When a company uses their service, these nano defenders are embedded into their legitimate digital assets, their website, their login portals, their emails.
Okay, so the good site has these little defenders woven into the code.
Correct. But here is the magic. When a hacker clones that site to make a fake version,
They copy the defenders along with everything else.
they inevitably copy them.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there. I'm playing the skeptical CISO here.
Yeah.
If I'm a sophisticated hacker, surely I'm scrubbing the code right. Why would I copy the security tool that's going to catch me?
It seems like a rookie mistake, doesn't it? But here's the catch-22 the report points out. Modern cloning is automated. They use scrapers to pull the entire front end to make it look perfect.
Right.
If they start stripping out scripts, they risk breaking the site's functionality or how it looks.
So they have to take the bad with the good to keep the illusion convincing.
Exactly. And Memcyco obfuscates these nano defenders. They aren't labeled securitybot.exe. They're woven into the legitimate code. So to get rid of them, the hacker has to basically rebuild the site from scratch.
Which kills their speed advantage.
It totally destroys it. They're prioritizing speed over hygiene. That's where they get caught.
That makes perfect sense. So the nano defender wakes up on the fake site. Then what?
It starts phoning home. It provides visibility into the attack as it unfolds.
That is brilliant. It's like a Trojan horse, but in reverse. We're putting our horse in their castle.
That's a great way to put it. And this allows for what the report calls intelligent obfuscation. This is the part I think you'll really like. It's very spy novel.
Oh, I love spy novels. Lay it on me.
Okay, so a victim lands on the fake site. The nanodefenders know it's a fake site. Instead of just blocking them, the system can actually feed decoy data to the attackers.
Decoy data, you mean like fake credentials?
Exactly. Think of it as digital hallucinations. The hacker thinks they've just snagged a user's login, but Memcyco feeds them a completely fake username and a randomized password.
Wait, really? So the hacker's celebrating, thinking they've got the keys?
But they've got a pocket full of Monopoly money.
That is. I mean, that's practically vindictive. I love it. But is there a strategic value to that besides just being satisfying?
Oh, a huge strategic value. It poisons their data set. If you sell a batch of 1,000 credit card numbers on the dark web and 800 of them are fake, you destroy your reputation as a seller.
It breaks the trust in the criminal supply chain.
You got it. And while the hacker is choking on that fake data, Memcyco issues a real-time red alert to the actual victim right on their screen.
So it saves the user at the exact moment of danger.
Precisely. And this is crucial. It identifies the individual victim. In the old world, you don't know who fell for a scam until they call customer support. Now, the CISO can see, okay, customer A is currently on a fake site.
And they can act instantly. Reset the password, freeze the account, call the customer.
Instantly. And it goes deeper. The report mentions device DNA. They have mapped over 500 million device IDs, and they're heading toward 1 billion.
1 billion devices?
Yeah.
That's a massive data set.
It is. And this telemetry lets them distinguish between a legitimate user, a confused victim, and the actual attacker. They see the attacker's device fingerprint. So even if that attacker tries to come back later, they're already flagged.
It's like a digital wanted poster that goes up instantly across the entire network.
That's a perfect analogy.
Okay, so this sounds amazing for the security team. But let's pivot to the C-suite. A CISO has to go ask the CFO for budget. Preventing fraud is great, but how do we quantify the ROI? Why does a CISO need this now?
Because it's not just about stopping hackers anymore. It's about business continuity and increasingly liability. The regulatory landscape is shifting under our feet.
The brief mentioned a few of these, GDPR, of course, but there are new ones coming.
Right. You've got the Scams Prevention Framework in Australia, the APP fraud reimbursement rules in the UK, authorized push payment. Basically, if you trick someone into wiring you money, the trend is clear. Regulators are starting to hold companies liable for reimbursement.
So if your customer gets scammed, you might have to pay them back.
That changes the entire ROI equation. Suddenly, fraud defense isn't a cost center, it's a balance sheet protection strategy.
And you have the proof, right? With that device DNA, you can prove what actually happened.
Exactly. It turns, I think we were hacked into, here's the forensic evidence. That's crucial for insurance and legal defense.
And what about friction? Security usually means annoying your customers. How does this affect them?
This is the holy grail for a CISO, security that's invisible. The nanodefenders work in the background. Legitimate users don't notice a thing. This reduces those false positives that drive us all crazy.
Oh, when your bank declines your card just because you bought coffee in a different zip code?
We all hate that. This helps eliminate it because it has better data. It knows the difference between you on a trip and a hacker on a spoofed device.
Okay, so we've got better protection, happier customers, and we're keeping regulators off our back. That seems solid. What about the future? The report touched on the roadmap. What's next?
Frost and Sullivan outlined a few key areas. The first is mobile. We're seeing a huge rise in rogue apps.
Like fake banking apps.
Exactly. Or fake crypto wallets. So the roadmap includes extending this protection to mobile channels. Then there's social originated fraud.
Fake profiles? Brand impersonation on social media?
Right. Someone creating a fake support account for an airline on X and intercepting customers.
So common. You tweet, "Where's my bag?" and 5 bots reply asking for your booking reference.
Exactly. But the most exciting frontier, I think, is what they call unified threat intelligence.
Let's double-click on that. Usually threat intel is just a list of bad IP addresses from last week.
This is fundamentally different because it's real time. Imagine this. A fraudster targets a big bank in London. They spin up a clone site, Memcyco detects it, identifies the attacker's device fingerprint, and neutralizes the threat.
Okay, one bad guy down.
But that bad guy doesn't just retire. 10 minutes later, they try to clone a retail site in New York. Because Memcyco sees that same device fingerprint across its whole network.
That attacker is already burned.
instantly.
It's herd immunity for corporations.
That's it. The attack on the bank immunizes the retailer. It creates a network effect where the defense gets stronger with every single attack. We stop playing whack-a-mole in silos and start defending as a collective.
It really does feel like the tables are turning.
It does.
So let's bring this all home. We started with the mismatch, the speed of fraud versus the slowness of defense. It seems like adaptive defense really closes that gap.
I'd go a step further. It's not just closing the gap, it's changing the whole engagement. We're moving from a world of cleaning up the mess to preventing the mess. It's an optimistic shift.
And I just keep going back to that decoy data.
Yeah.
It's just so satisfying.
It is, isn't it? And this raises a provocative thought for our listeners. We always talk about the tech side of hacking, but we rarely talk about the business of hacking.
The attacker's ROI.
Exactly. Cybercrime is a business. It relies on efficiency. If they send 1 million phishing emails, they need a certain percentage of real credentials to turn a profit.
Right.
But if we flood their systems with fake data, if 50, maybe 80% of what they steal is useless.
Their cost of doing business goes through the roof.
We waste their time. We burn their resources. We don't just stop the hack. We break their business model. And if we can make fraud unprofitable, that is how we actually win this war.
That is a powerful thought. It's not just defense. It's economic warfare against the bad guys.
For the CISO, that is the ultimate victory.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot better about the state of the internet than I did an hour ago.
It's certainly a step in the right direction.
If you're listening and thinking, okay, that sounds cool, but I need to see it to believe it, especially that part about hijacking the fake sites, you probably should. If you want to see how those nano defenders actually work in real time, go book a demo to see the Memcyco solution in action.
It's one thing to hear about it, another to see it work.
That's it for this deep dive into the future of fraud defense. Thanks for listening to the MemcycoFM show, and we'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.
Goodbye, everyone.